everyone's eyes fixed on the tiny gray-haired woman with the mop. Laughter bounced off the dojo walls as a cocky black belt pointed at her and jeered. "Your turn, Grandma." What they didn't know, what even she had tried to forget, was that Elena Ruiz once tossed world champions like rag dolls. And in the next 3 minutes, the entire room would learn why true power never retires. Elena Ruiz arrived at Riverbend Martial Arts Academy every weekday morning before the Robins even thought about singing. At 67, her bones preferred warm quilts and soft pillows at that hour. But her spirit answered a different lock, one that chimed for quiet halls and the faint scent of yesterday's sweat. She drifted through the front door like a passing cloud, thin and silver-haired, a navy windbreaker hiding the curve of shoulders that once squared off against giants. The automated lights blinked awake, bathing the glossy hardwood floor in a soft gold that reminded her of dawns in Guadalajara decades ago, when sunrise meant miles of running and 10,000 brick falls before breakfast. Those memories lived inside her joints like patient houseguests, mostly polite, sometimes loud. The academy, housed in a converted furniture warehouse, felt cavernous at that horror, 6,000 square feet of silence broken only by the hum of freezers in the neighboring deli. Elena preferred it empty. Empty rooms could not judge. Empty rooms had no idea that she had once been called La Tormenta, the storm, bows of the way she could scoop a man out of midair and drape him across gravity like a shawl. She set her battered canvas tote on the reception desk, removed a thermos of cinnamon coffee, and took 2 slow sips, letting the warmth seep into the hinge of her jaw and the arches of her feet. Then she reached for the yellow mop bucket, the color dulled from years of bleach, and rolled it toward Maddie. As wheels squeaked, Elena hummed a lullaby her mother used to sing. She did not notice the security camera following her with its unblinking eye, or, if she noticed, she did not care. Cameras see shapes, not stories. The first whispers began around 7:30, when the early bird cardio kickboxing ladies hustled in. They were younger than Elena by 30 years, yet already complained of bad knees and stiff backs. Elena smiled politely, wiped benches, and pretended not to hear them ask the receptionist. "How old is she, anyway?" She pretended not to hear the receptionist reply. "Old enough to collect Social Security but too proud to stop working." Elena could have told them that pride had nothing to do with it. After Miguel, her husband of 43 years, died from a plate-found cancer, the pension he left barely stretched to rent and groceries. Social Security helped, but the dojo job filled a larger hunger, a craving to be near canvas mats and lacking judogi belts. To breathe the rhythm of bow step strike, to believe for a few quiet moments each day that she still belonged to the world of movement. The paycheck simply kept the lights on, the routine kept the heart open. At 9 o'clock, the children's judo class flooded through the doors, a flurry of white kiss, Velcro shoes, and fruit snack breath. Sensei Karen trailed behind them like a shepherd, corralling stray giggles while taping her own wrist from yesterday's sparring mishap. Elena liked Karen. The 32-year-old black belt treated every student as if they were a secret about to bloom. She also treated Elena like a teammate, not a custodian. "Buenos dias, Senora," Karen called, giving a respectful nod. Elena returned the nod but kept mopping. If she spoke too long, nostalgia might rise and drag her under. Better to let kindness hang in the air unclaimed, like incense. Halfway through the warm-ups, a small boy named Paul slipped on a stray water bottle cap and landed hard on his tailbone. Tears sprang before his bottom even hit the mat. Parents in the viewing gallery pressed palms to the glass in silent alarm. Sensei Karen jogged over, knelt, and checked the child's spine. No damage, just shock. Yet Paul would not stop sobbing. He clutched his lower back and wheezed. Karen tried soothing words. Nothing. Elena's ma paused. A memory, a 7-year-old girl, herself, sitting on a dusty tile floor in summer heat, howling after her first failed cartwheel. Then her father's gentle hand on her shoulder and his voice breathed. "Hijita, pain is a guest invited to tea, then show at the door." Almost without thinking, she set the mop aside and crossed the mat's edge. Wiping her shoes on the towel she kept tucked into her waistband. Parents gasped. No one but instructors were supposed to step on the mat. Elena ignored the rules. She knelt beside Paul, withdrew a tiny keychain whistle from her pocket, and held it up. The crying boy huped, puzzled. "Estés medio," she whispered so only he could hear. "Every time you breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth, it fills with bravery. Wanna try?" Paul sniffed twice, slower each time. Elena counted quickly. "Uno, dos, tres," tapping a rhythm on his small shoulder. On the third breath his ribs stopped jerking. By the fifth, His cheeks lost their crimson hue. There, she said, pressing the whistle into his palm. Keep it safe. It remembers courage. Paul nodded, wide-eyed, and scurried back to line. Sensei Karen Mao thanked you but offered no applause. She sensed that Elena disliked spotlights. Yet murmurs rippled along the bleachers. Who is the janitor? How did she calm him so fast? One grandmother in floral leggings pointedly whispered, she moves like she belongs here. Elena heard and felt her stomach tighten, not from pride, but from fear that someone might peer too closely. Her whole reason for wearing anonymity like an apron was to protect the fragile privacy she had cultivated since Miguel's passing. She loved judo, yes, but she also feared the ache that might erupt if she dared to practice again. To remember the woman she'd been before widowhood grayed her joints and quieted her laughter. By noon, the colder adult Tai-Kai group shuffled in, their slow breathing signing with flute music from a Bluetooth speaker. Elena swapped the mop for a feather duster and clean trophy cases. One trophy, high on the left, bore the name Kimberly Vaughn, Women's Masters National Champion. 2017. Elena studied the engraved silver and felt an old itch between her shoulder blades. The place where adrenaline once lived. She turned away and dusted faster. At 1:30, while vacuuming the reception rug, Elena overheard a new voice, smooth, confident, masculine. She recognized the sound immediately. A sensei schooled in both physical and verbal throws. Afternoon, team, he boomed. I'm Coach Rick, here to audition for the Thursday competition class. Elena peered around the corner. The man stood nearly 6'3", muscles stretching his polo shirt. A black belt folded over one forearm like a waiter's napkin. His smile was polished, his handshake firm. Parents looked impressed, teenage students looked starstruck. While head instructor Nguyen reviewed Rick's resume, Elena resumed vacuuming. The machine roared, swallowing gossip. But when she rounded the desk again, she caught one line that floated above the hum. We've been needing fresh energy, Nguyen said. Our older clientele can be a bit slow to adapt. Older clientele. The phrase pricked Elena's ears like static. She flacked off the vacuum and pretended to check its filter, listening. Rick leaned closer to Nguyen. Believe me, I can whip any age group into shape. My philosophy? Respect is earned on the mat daily. Forgive me for saying so. But sometimes seniors cling to outdated forms. It holds the whole class back. Nguyen frowned slightly, but before he could respond, a parent interrupted with a question about tuition. The conversation dissolved, yet the words lingered in the air like chalk dust. Seniors cling to outdated forms. Elena wheeled the vacuum to the closet and shut the door harder than necessary. Outdated forms. She had spent a lifetime refining forms, kata so precise they once made Olympic judges weep. Outdated, she pressed her fist against her chest to steady her breathing and reminded herself, you are here to earn a paycheck, not to prove anything. Besides, proving things often leads to pain, physical, emotional, or both. Best to let the ego warriors battle among themselves. Still, whispers began to swirl that afternoon. Students gossiped in locker rooms about Coach Rick's credentials, his rumored world-class throws, his viral TikTok following. A few speculated whether he would replace Nguyen as head instructor. Elena listened without comment as she scrubbed sinks, the scent of lemon disinfectant stinging her nostrils. In silence, she replayed Rick's tone, filing it beside other memories, the smug laughter of men who mistook age for weakness, of opponents who once called her Ebula before she sent them flying. The day wound down. At 5:30, the after-school crowd punched and keyed their way into exhaustion. Elena swept the lobby, careful to keep her back straight despite fatigue. She paused only when Nguyen approached, bowing politely. He handed her a sealed plastic container. Inside sat 2 homemade spring rolls and a small cup of peanut sauce. You work too hard, Ms. Elena, he said softly. Eat something before heading home. She started to refuse, but Nguyen raised a hand. Please, my mother taught me that a dojo is family. Family feeds one another. Elena felt her throat tighten. She nodded once and accepted the container, whispering, Gracias. On the bus ride home, twilight slipping between concrete towers, Elena balanced the spring rolls on her lap and stared out the window. She watched joggers in neon vests, dogs tugging leashes, office workers scrawling phones at crosswalks. Life kept pulsing, indifferent to her memories. She thought of Coach Rick and his shiny confidence, of Nguyen's quiet kindness, of the whispering parents and students. She thought of Paul and his whistle of bravery. She thought, finally, of Miko, how he used to greet her after evening practice with a thermos of hibiscus tea and a corny joke. The ache returned sharp and familiar. That night in her one-bedroom apartment, Elena placed Indian's container in the fridge for tomorrow's lunch. She fed Luna the calico cat, watered a wilting basil plant, and sat at the kitchen table where a stack of unpaid medical bills waited like reproachful ghosts. She traced the edge of an envelope and sighed. Then she pulled from a closet the object she rarely touched, a frayed black belt. Its embroidery faded to ghost letters E. Ruiz. She laid it across her lap and ran a thumb over the silk thread. Memories flooded a stadium in Barcelona, crowds chanting, camera flashes, her opponent's shocked eyes as Elena executed a flawless quijimada. She remembered the medal, silver, not gold, her father's proud tears, Miguel rushing down from the bleachers to lift her in triumph. And she remembered the years that followed: coaching, marriage, childbirth, widowhood, grief. She rolled the belt carefully and returned it to the shelf. But something had shifted. The room felt different, as if the belt had whispered old secrets into the walls. She turned off the light and went to bed, Luna curling against her ankles, praying, yet sleep teased then fled. In its place came a question she had not allowed herself to ponder in years: what if you stepped on the mat just once, only to feel how it feels now? Elena pushed the thought away, but it returned, persistent as a child tugging a sleeve. Finally she surrendered. Perhaps, she murmured into the darkness, I will try. Outside, a siren wailed somewhere distant. Inside, Elena's heartbeat steadied, matching the rhythm of an old key folded in her closet. She did not notice the corners of her mouth lifting. She slept. And while she slept, whispers fluttered through the dojo. She would re-enter tomorrow, whispers that would soon swell into something louder, something unstoppable. End of Chapter 1. Morning light washed Riverbend Martial Arts Academy in pale peach when Elena Ruiz unlocked the side entrance for the cleaning crew. Though she alone carried the key, wind rattled the aluminum siding, urging February air inside. Elena smelled rain coming. She always could, ever since childhood afternoons practicing foot sweeps on damp rooftops in Guadalajara. She wrung gray water from a mop head, the motion so practiced it felt wired into bone. Rubber gloves concealed most of her hands, but a sliver of wrist peeked out when she lifted the bucket. Purple scar tissue ran like lightning beneath thin skin, raised, jagged, unforgiving. Anyone who noticed assumed age spots, maybe a stove burn, but Sensei Karen, entering early for paperwork, paused when the glove slipped. May I help with that? Karen asked, nodding to the bucket. Elena tugged the glove higher, smile polite. I am fine, thank you. Karen tilted her head, not prying, simply curious. I ordered wrist guards for the seniors class. They arrive tomorrow. Thought maybe you would evacuate them with me? An innocent offer, yet it sent Elena's heart skittering. Guards meant trying them on, which meant exposing scars. Perhaps later, she said and hurried toward the storeroom. Inside, the mop closet smelled of bleach and cedar planks left over from a renovation. Elena leaned against shelves stacked with coil hoses and tried slow breathing. You know, dos tres, but memories flooded before calm could settle. Guadalajara, 1979. The new national coach, Maestro Arturo Ledesma, paced a hawk outland mat in a tin-roof gym that baked under desert sun. At 15, Elena stood barefoot with 30 boys, the only girl. Her gaze was cotton but felt iron-heavy under his stare. Talent is worthless, Arturo barked. Obedience wins medals. He demonstrated a sakinage so explosive the uke limped off, clutching ribs. Again, he ordered Elena, picking a larger boy as partner. She managed the throw but landed crooked. The boy's elbow cracked across her forearm. Pain shot like fire. Arturo called it clumsiness, wrapped tape so tight her fingers tingled, and forced her back on the line. Weeks became years. Abuse hid behind discipline, late-night drills without water, verbal lashings that bruised deeper than knuckles. When she won Pan Am gold at 17, the newspaper hailed Ledesma's prodigy. No headline carried the welts across her back from bamboo rods he wielded when footwork faltered. Elena's father learned nothing of it. Her mother suspected but feared ending the only path their daughter had out of poverty. So Elena endured, until a training camp in Veracruz when Arturo cornered her in a storage shed, demanding she repay his coaching. She escaped his grasp by slamming a broom handle into his shin and sprinting half a mile barefoot through gravel. Splinters tattooed her feet, shame tattooed her spirit. She never returned. For months after, she'd flinch at footsteps, jump at whistle shrieks. She wrapped wrists in gauze, not for injury but to hide Arturo's fingerprints. She considered quitting judo, then life itself. Instead, she visited an older sensei, Donna Mercedes, who taught judo in a church basement. Mercedes removed Elena's bandages, inspected the bruises, and said, "These are not your disgrace, they are his." She prescribed a regimen of gentle kata, herbal poultices, and stories of female warriors who carried scars like badges. At 18, Elena entered nationals unaffiliated, wearing a plain white belt for protest. She reached finals against a Ledesma protege and lost by a single shido, but the crowd roared for her. In the stands, a shy medical student named Miguel Ruiz cheered loudest. Afterward, he offered her a bottle of Carnica and awkward congratulations. Within 2 years, they married, and Elena believed suffering finally had an exit door. A thunk outside the closet snapped Elena into the present. She straightened, adjusted gloves, and pushed the bucket toward Mat B where the new foam edges curled. Coach Rick's Thursday competition class was warming up, knee-high skips, loud claps. Too much swagger. He spotted Elena and grinned like spotting a prop. "Careful, ma'am," he called. "Wouldn't want you slipping on my student's sweat." Laughter rippled. Elena bowed slightly to the group, an old habit, and continued mopping, but inside, embers glowed. "Obedience wins medals." Cartro's voice, no Rick's echoed it now. Modern accent, same dismissal. She worked the far corner while Rick demonstrated a flashy sacrifice throw. A teen hesitated, afraid to fall. Rick smacked the mat beside his head. "Fear breaks bones, kid." The teenager flushed. Elena's grip whitened around the mop handle. She saw herself at 15, Cartro's bamboo rod inches from her temple. The class ended. Students dragged themselves off the mat. Rick toweled sweat, then strolled over, offering a mock chivalrous bow. "Appreciate the cleanup. These kids spill more than toddlers." Elena's jaw stayed relaxed, dates of composure training, but her eyes, dark and steady, met his. Something in that gaze unsettled Rick. He coughed. "So, you ever try a class? We have seen your cardio rate, nice and easy." "I prefer judo," she replied before thinking. It slipped out pure. "Judo, bit rough for delicate joints." He flexed his, "But hey, spectators welcome." Elena forced a smile and collected the cones. Rick walked off, missing the way her shoulders squared after he turned. Lunch break meant spring rolls Nguyen had given, though she added avocado slices and lime. She sat cross-legged on rolled mats in storage, Luna the cat's photo as phone wallpaper glowing nearby. She mused on scars, some visible, some secret. 1. Left wrist rope burn from Arturo pulling her back onto the mat. 2. Right shoulder, surgery scar after Olympic trials she made semifinals, tore rotator cuff, still placed 4th. 3. Heart closing Miguel 3 years ago, watching sunset through hospital blinds as he whispered, "Promise me you'll keep moving." Promises could weigh heavier than boulders. She'd kept moving, but in circles around the mat, never upon it. After lunch, she tackled locker room mildew. Senior yoga class filed in. A dozen retirees ranging from arthritis sufferers to marathon grandmas. They adored Elena. She always hung eucalyptus sahets to freshen benches. Today, while she scrubbed tile, a voice said, "Honey, can you open this water bottle? These old hands?" It was Mrs. Dottie Cunningham, 78, sparkly headband, two knee braces. Elena twisted the cap. As she passed it back, Dottie's eyes landed on that wrist scar. "Good gracious, looks like somebody tried to hog-tie you," Dottie exclaimed. The room felt quiet. Elena's stomach sank. She tugged the sleeve. "Long time ago, Senora. Training accident." Dottie's brows knit. "Must have been quite the training." Another woman chimed. "Elena used to compete, didn't you? I googled her name on the sign-in sheet. Some judo champion." Elena's throat dried. "Please, I am just the custodian." Dottie pursed lips. "No, just about it. Work is work, still. I'd pay good money to see you teach that new Hashata lesson. He's got all the humility of a peacock in mating season." The ladies giggled. Elena smiled but retreated, cheeks burning, information flowing online. She hadn't considered that. Did her ancient matches even appear on YouTube? Internet never forgets. Something told her whispers would swell by tomorrow. That evening, Elena took the 14 bus but hopped off 3 stops early at Riverside Park. Bare-branched oaks swayed, street lamps flickered amber halos. She walked a cracked basketball court until she found the line-painted intersection at Enter, 2 perpendicular axes. There she practiced footwork, barefoot, shoes tucked under a bench. Step, pivot, sweep, repeat. The asphalt was coarse, the February air nipping her ankles. Yet she felt 16 again, a stray memory, Miguel filming her on an old camcorder. Laughing, "My esposa can launch the moon," she smiled, then tear-blurred edges of night. She kept moving until breath plumed white and pulse drummed steady. A cough startled her. Across the court stood a girl, maybe 20, watching. Hoodie, bruised cheek, eyes skittish. Elena froze mid-pivot. Nice moves, the girl said, voice shaky but eager. That judo? Yes. You teach? I only lean, sometimes remember. The girl looked away, finger tracing purple on her cheekbone. My boyfriend trains Muay Thai. He says judo is soft. She laughed, humorless. I thought soft sounded safer. Elena inhaled. Under street light, the bruise looked fresh. She recognized the slump of someone used to dodging hands. Judo teaches falling safely, Elena said gently, and standing again. The girl shuffled closer. Could you show me? Just a little? Elena hesitated. Teaching without certification, liability, risking job excesses lined up like dominoes. Then she recalled her own 17-year-old self, abandoned in a foreign city after fleeing Arturo. Desperate for guidance, she nodded. 10 minutes. They worked break fall basics, tuck chin, slap ground, roll. The girl giggled after the first thud. Relief glittered. Elena taught a simple grip break, grab sleeve, turn wrist, step back. If someone holds you, she explained, their thumb is weak point. Turn toward it, not away. The girl practiced, eyes widening at success. Underneath lamplight, empowerment bloomed. Elena felt shivers of déjà vu. Donna Mercedes on a church tatami whispering, "These are not your disgrace." When they finished, Elena fetched a pen-like keychain from her bag, the twin of Paul's whistle. She pressed it into the girl's palm. For courage, she said. Click it when fear crowds you. Tears welled. I'm Maya. Elena, will you be here tomorrow? Same time. Maya nodded, Huddy shielding smile, then hurried toward bus stop. Elena watched until taillights vanished. The park grew still aside from distant traffic hush. She slid shoes on, feeling alive in a way mopping never delivered, but guilt accompanied joy. Waving limbs might tear rotator cuff anew. Coaching could breach employment contract. Rick could mock her again. She sighed, yet McGill's final words hummed, keep moving. That night, at home, Luna needed Elena's lap as she browsed YouTube on an old tablet. She searched Elena Ruiz Judo 1984. Grainy video surfaced, Olympic trials semifinal. Comments legend, why isn't she in the Hall of Fame? Whatever happened to her? Elena clicked off quickly, heart pounding. She opened a second tab, Arturo Ledesma lawsuit. Headlines, former national coach accused of abuse. 1995 trial ends in mistrial. He'd vanished afterward, she shivered. Even ghosts cast long shadows. Phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. Hi Elena, this is Karen. Found your LinkedIn from staff directory. Would love coffee to hear your story. No pressure. LinkedIn. Elena forgot she had one created years ago by a nice. She typed back, thank you, maybe soon, good night. She sat phone face down and opened the closet. Gi, belt, knee pads. All stored in a cedar box Miguel built. She touched fabric. Smelled faint sweat of old victories. Her hands etched, not from age. From longing, she slipped the gi jacket over pajamas. It hung loose but familiar. In mirror, silver hair framed determined eyes. She held her wrists to lamplight. Scars gleamed, not disgrace, stories. She traced them and whispered, outdated forms, as she bowed to her reflection. Then to memory of Donna Mercedes, then to Miguel. Tomorrow she would step onto dojo mat during closed hours. Just to feel tatami under bare feet again. Maybe she'd stretch. Maybe shadow umana, maybe nothing. But intention alone felt revolutionary. Outside, rain finally arrived, drumming roof shingles like distant applause. Inside, a widow, warrior, survivor, and janitor lifted her chin, listening to the storm she once embodied. Scars hid beneath rubber gloves, but their lessons pulsed louder each day. End of chapter 2. The dojo stood dark at 5:05 a.m., a single exit sign glowing red like a quiet heartbeat. Elena Ruiz slipped off rain-damp sneakers and stepped onto mat C, squeezing toes into the foam as if testing deep water. No children. No parents, no coach Rick, only the hush of ventilation fans and her own pulse. She bowed to the showman, the small altar that held a framed photo of Kano Jagoro, the father of judo, and a vase of wilted chrysanthemums. Something inside her bowed too, something she thought had died the day Miguel was lowered into earth. Elena inhaled, smelling the faint vinegar of yesterday's disinfectant. She exhaled and raised both arms. Her body recalled the first kata before her mind named it. Foot slides, hip turns, the whisper of cotton sleeves. Minutes dissolved. Muscle memory guided shapes she hadn't traced in 20 years. Ukiotashi. Seibai nej, tai otashi. She imagined an opponent spinning off her hip. Imagined the thud and the respectful bow that followed. There was no thud, but echoes filled her ears, the sound of 1,000 throws on a lost tatami. Echoes of cheering crowds, echoes of Kartro's barked commands, echoes of Miguel's soft voice reading scouting notes in hotel rooms, calling her his hurricane's wife. Ghosts crowded the mat instead of fear. She felt fellowship. She practiced break falls backward, sideways, rolling to stand. The first backward fall jarred her spine. Sparks of pain flashed, but on the third she dropped like silk. A wild, startled laugh escaped her lips and bounced off aluminum rafters. It startled a pair of pigeons roosting in the eaves, their wings flapped, scattering dust like confetti. Elena finished with a silent bow. Sweat dampened her gray roots. Heart galloping, she felt taller, she felt dangerously alive. At 6 sharp, she returned to custodian duty, while mopping locker rooms. She hummed Isla de Lindo, twirling the handle in small circles as if leading a dance partner. The old fluorescent lights flickered for once, she didn't mind. By 7, the cardio kickboxing ladies burst in, boombox thumping a remix of the Bee Gees. One paused mid-jump when she saw Elena balancing on a low bench to dust vents. "Whoa, careful, Ms. Ruiz, you're scaling that thing like Spider-Woman." "Good morning, Donna," Elena replied, hopping down lightly. The ease with which her knees absorbed the landing surprised both women. Donna exchanged a look with her friend, eyebrows raised, whispers again. But Elena found she didn't shrink. Sensei Karen arrived at 8:15, steaming latte in hand. She halted in the doorway. Jaw-dropping, Matsy's center, where Elena had practiced, displayed faint skid marks, bare footprints scaring like calligraphy. Karen traced one with her shoe. "Weird," she murmured. "I've unpolished last night." Elena, folding dust cloths behind reception, kept her face neutral. A mischievous thrill fluttered her secret dance had left its autograph. Karen noticed her. "Morning. You see anyone using Matsy? Those marks look like advanced footwork." Elena shrugged. "Perhaps new instructor? Coach Rick trains on it. Anyway, beautiful lines. Wish I could float like that." She winked, then sipped latte, smudging foam into her auburn hair. Elena's lips twitched. She almost confessed but zipped it shut. "Not yet." At 9, Rick swaggered in, earbuds blaring a podcast about alpha mindset. He tossed sports drinks into the fridge, missing the shelf. Bottles clattered. Elena knelt to retrieve them. He barely looked up. During his elite teen class, Elena squeegeed windows between Matza and B. She watched through glass as he drilled sacrifice throws again. He barked criticism when students hesitated. Yanked a shy girl, Lydia, by sleeve to reposition her hip. Shock flashed across Lydia's face. Elena felt heat behind her eyes. She pressed forehead to cool glass. After class, Lydia sat alone laying shoes, eyes glossy. Elena brought a paper cup of water. "You trained hard," she said in Spanish. The girl's surname, Garcia, hinted bilingual. Lydia nodded, accepting water with shaking hands. "He scares me," Lydia whispered, "but my parents paid a fortune for Olympic prep." Elena crouched, voice low. "Remember, a good throw starts from respect, not fear. Fear tightens muscles, tight muscles fall badly." Lydia met her gaze. "Do you compete?" "Once, long ago." "Will you show me? Not to be afraid?" Elena swallowed. She wanted to. But rules, liability. Rick's glare across the lobby told her he'd noticed the huddle. She gently squeezed Lydia's shoulder. "We'll find courage together." Rick called, "Lydia, parents are waiting." She scurried off. Elena stood facing Rick's smirk. He leaned close. "Appreciate moral boosting but leave coaching to coaches." Before she could answer, Nyanka arrived, saved by the bell. Rick plastered on charm. Elena retreated to the janitor's closet, heart banging like a taiko drum. She squeezed disinfectant spray until knuckles went white. Echoes of La Decima obedience wins medals. Lunch break. Elena hurried 2 blocks to Riverside Cafe, raincoat flapping. Inside, Sensei Karen waved from a corner booth. 2 mugs of chamomile steamed between them. "I hope you like tea," Karen said. "Coffee makes my throws jittery." Elena slid into the seat, wary. "Why did you wish to meet?" Karen folded hands. "Because every time I watch you walk, I see Kuzashi, perfect off-balancing. That's not housekeeping posture." Elena's cheeks warmed. "Old habits." "I did homework." Karen slid a tablet across. On-screen grainy footage of a young Elena flipping an opponent at the 1984 Pan American Games. Commentator shouted, "Ruiz with the Uhimata, incredible." Elena flinched. "Where?" "Internet rabbit hole. I'm not here to expose you. I'm here to ask for wisdom." Our dojo preaches community, but some students fear Coach Rick's style. I fear we're slipping from Judo's heart. She paused. I think you can help restore it. Elena traced rim of mug, steam fogging her glasses. I am an old widow with bills. That life is past. Karen smiled gently. Technique ages like wine. Besides, women your age, my mother, my grandmother, they need heroes, not just housekeeping tutorials. Heroes, the word felt too large. She shook her head. I can mop. Advised quietly, nothing more. Karen accepted, but her eyes retained a simmer of hope. If you change mind. Seniors open mat meets Saturday morning. No pressure. She paid the bill and left. Elena lingered, watching raindrops slither down the window. Thunder rolled distant. Echoes again. This time Miguel's laughter, my hurricane's wife. She closed eyes and imagined wind-bending trees. She inhaled, exhaled. When she opened them, decision hinted at the edge of consciousness but refused to speak aloud. 3:00 p.m. The siblings class. Elena mopped between lines of 6-year-olds practicing forward rolls. A boy collided with his twin, heads bonked, tears erupted. Rick, substituting, barked, shake it off. When boy kept crying, Rick sighed exaggeratedly. Need a nursemaid. Some parents laughed uneasily. Elena paused mopping. She remembered Paul's whistle. She rummaged apron pocket. Found a small smiley face sticker. She crouched outside mat, caught the boy's eye. Pressed sticker to her own elbow, made exaggerated sad face, then healed it with magic finger snap. The boy giggled, tears forgotten. Rick scowled. Elena resumed mopping, yet parents exchanged looks. Custodian 1, Coach 0. That evening she returned to Riverside Park. Maya waited, bruised yellow-green. Told boyfriend I joined self-defense club, she said, voice lighter. They drilled grip breaks, hip escapes. Maya stumbled, laughed, tried again. After 40 minutes, she bowed awkwardly. I felt powerful today. Elena walked her to the bus. Real power is choosing gentleness, she said. She almost spoke of scars but stopped. Some lessons require silence first. Friday dawned bright. Inside the dojo, Nguyen called an all-staff huddle. Rick stood beside him, expression plastic. Nguyen announced, tomorrow's senior Copen mat will include a demonstration of safe falling. Coach Rick nominated himself, but I've invited a guest. His eyes found Elena in the back. Wiping a mirror, Ms. Elena has graciously agreed. The mop nearly slipped from her hands. Rick's jaw dropped. Staff gaped. Karen grinned like a conspirator. Elena managed a nod. After meeting, she cornered Nguyen. Sensei, I never said yes. He clasped palms. Forgive presumption, but you are what dojo needs. I watched tape last night. Your falls are poetry. Our seniors fear injury. Seeing a peer perform will inspire. Elena's pulse throbbed. I haven't practiced in years. He bowed deeper. Judo is not years, it is breath. One breath at a time, please. She inhaled. The mat this morning had felt like resurrection. Could she deny others? She exhaled. One demonstration, she said. No throws. Nguyen smiled. Agreement. Across lobby, Rick glared, arms folded. Nothing about the agreement pleased him. That night, Elena reheated lentil soup. Couldn't taste it. Luna pawed her foot. Meowed. Elena set bowl aside, fetched cedar box. She unfolded the gay. Hands trembling, she stitched a loose hem while Luna watched, tail twitching. She placed gi on couch, stepped back. Memories played like slideshow. Coenpeak Village cafeteria. Training camps, Miguel's hospital bed. She whispered, I miss you, to the empty room. She wrapped black belt around waist, knotting it slow left over right. Right over left, pull tight. Muscle memory guided fingers, belt hugged her core. She closed eyes, felt grounded. She rehearsed tomorrow's falls in living room. Landing on yoga mat, cat darted out of way. By 10th roll, she was laughing, lungs full. Fear lessened but did not vanish. It became spice sharp awakening. She knelt by window, city lights blinking. She texted Karen, I will demonstrate break falls. Need assistant to spot. Will you help? Heart hammered until reply, absolutely. I'll bring crash mats and donuts. Elena chuckled, tucked phone away, and slept dreamless for the first time in months. Saturday, 10 a.m. Seniors class buzzed like reunion. Mrs. Stoddy wore glitter D patches. Lydia's grandmother attended, curious. A local physiotherapist set up knee brace samples. Nguyen introduced Elena. Many know her as Ms. Ruiz, our keeper of cleanliness. Today she shows us the art of falling safely. Gasps rippled as Elena walked out in crisp white gi, black belt gleaming like piano lacquer. Her hair, braided tight, shone silver under skylights. She bowed. Karen stood ready with stopwatch. Rick loitered at sideline, arms crossed. Elena spoke, voice steady. Falling is part of life. Fall wrong, break bones. Fall right, rise again. We'll learn 3 ways. She demonstrated back fall, tuck chin, slap mat, feet to sky. The smack echoed. Seniors flinched, then applauded when she popped up smiling. She guided volunteers one by one, hands gentle, words patient. Within minutes, Dottie executed a perfect side fall, cackling, take that, osteoporosis. Rick approached Nguyen, whisper heated. Nguyen waved him off. Rick stepped forward. Seniors, watch this advanced technique. He grabbed a yellow belt man. Attempted flashy sacrifice throw. The man panicked, stiffened mid-air, collapsed awkward. Yelping, class gasped. Rick barked, you've gotta commit. Elena's teacher instinct erupted. She interposed quietly. Sensei Rick, may I? He shrugged, by all means. Elena addressed the class. Fear locks body, trust unlocks. She turned to Rick. Will you fall for me? Murmur surged. Rick arched brow. You want to throw me? Just a simple asodagari. I led, you follow, trust. Eyes of seniors, Karen Nguyen bore into him. Pride cornered, he nodded. They bowed. Elena assessed distance, angle. She placed right hand lightly on his collar. Left gripping sleeve. She shifted weight, off-balanced him with barely a nudge. Rick's eyes widened as gravity betrayed him. She guided his descent. Sweeping leg behind, turning torso so he landed flat, arms instinctively slapping mat. Whispered slap, mid-fall. Thump, perfect brack fall, no pain. Rick lay staring at ceiling, breathless. Applause erupted. Seniors, parents, even toddlers banging palms. Cameras flashed. Someone live-streamed. Elena offered a hand. Rick accepted. When upright, he attempted grin. Nice sweep, he muttered. She bowed. You committed. Class ended in joyous chatter. Seniors pledged to practice falls daily. Photographs captured Elena with Dottie flexing. Nguyen teared up, thanking her. Karen hugged her, whispering, you were luminous. Rick gathered gear in silence. But before leaving, he stopped at Elena. You're legit. Didn't know. Elena met his gaze, soft yet unyielding. Now you do. Teach with kindness. Students follow better. He said nothing, but the nod he gave held grudging respect. By evening, the dojo's Facebook page exploded. Video of 67-year-old custodian throws black belt rack 12. 0 views in hours. Comments, age is just a number. Legend. Sign my grandma. Elena's phone pinged nonstop. She silenced notifications. Fed Luna, sat by window. Rain had ceased. Sunset painted sky coral. She sipped chamomile and listened to echoes. Laughter from seniors. Karen's luminous, Dottie's cackle. For once, the echoes were kind. She texted Maya, hope training tonight. Bring friend if wish. Then texted Lydia, remember, fear tightens muscles. Breathe. She set phone down, heart swelling into spaces grief once occupied. The lost tatami of her youth no longer felt lost. It echoed now beneath her feet. Alive in every fall and rise, she realized refuge didn't mean hiding from mats. It meant sharing them. Scars did not bar entry, they signed the invitation. She whispered gracias, Miguel, and bowed to the fading light. Thunder was gone. A new storm brewed, one of courage, respect, and second chains, and Elena Ruiz stood ready at its eye. End of chapter 3. Sunday morning unfolded with a crackle of frost on Greverben's parking lot. Yet inside the dojo the air simmered with something hotter than the space heater coil's anticipation. Elena Ruiz had not planned to return on her day off. She preferred Sundays for church, grocery specials, and feeding pigeons in Riverside Park. But her phone had exploded overnight. Texts, missed calls, interview requests. A segment producer from Good Day Oregon left 3 voicemails begging for an Connemara chat with Portland's throwing grandma. Nguyen politely asked if she could meet the Academy's board at noon to discuss the media storm. So here she was, gripping a thermos of cinnamon coffee, heart tripping faster than the fluorescent lights that jittered awake above her. She wore plain slacks, a lavender cardigan that Miguel used to say made her eyes glow, and the same battered sneakers she'd slipped off on that the morning everything changed. Nguyen arrived first, bowing, his cheeks brimmed with gratitude and worry. Views past 100,000, he said. Great publicity, if we handle wisely. Elena nodded. Publicity feeds egos. I'd rather feed students. He smiled, but tension pinched his brow. Board members crave attention. They fund scholarships. Today they'll want a show. A show? Before he answered, the glass door chimed. Coach Rick strode in wearing a fitted blazer and designer trainers, jaw flexing like he chewed nails for breakfast. Behind him followed 3 board officers, Ms. Glass a venture capitalist with now nails, Mr. Han retired airline pilot, and Reverend Foster local pastor and judo brown belt. Karen trailed, arms full of lip words and nervous energy. Pleasantries lasted seconds before Ms. Glass clapped. Let's cut through pleasantries. Folks, the Jan she caught herself. Ms. Ruiz video is trending. Parents are calling. Sponsors smell opportunity. We propose a public exhibition match next Friday night between Ms. Ruiz and Coach Rick. Silence thumped like a falling kettlebell. Elena felt coffee turn sour in her stomach. Rick's eyes lit with a predator's gleam wrapped in politeness. If Ms. Ruiz is comfortable, I'm game. A friendly spar. Full judo rules, 3-minute round. Nguyen interjected. She hasn't competed in decades. There's risk. Risk equals tickets, Ms. Glass said. We'll sell seats, raise funds for the community outreach program. Maybe lure local news. She pivoted to Elena. You'd be a hero for seniors citywide. Elena scanned faces. Mr. Han's gaze held compassion but also excitement. Reverend Foster nodded encouragement. Karen's eyes shouted, you don't have to do this. Rick bounced on heels like a boxer smelling blood. Elena breathed. Inhale memories of church bells, exhale fear. I will consider, she said. May I have 24 hours? Ms. Glass exhaled impatience but acquiesced. Fine, tomorrow noon we finalize. Meeting adjourned. The officers swept out, hungry for brunch mimosas. Nguyen followed to discuss insurance. Rick lingered. He approached Elena slowly, voice low. Look, I know we started rough. This fight could be good for both of us. Win or lose, you'll inspire people. Why do you need it? Elena asked. His jaw ticked. Let's just say sponsors watch numbers. A viral rematch sells my brand. And maybe he hesitated, and maybe I need to prove something to myself. She recognized the flicker in his eyes. Desperation masked his swagger. She'd seen it in Arturo before he crossed lines. She nodded once. Not agreeing, just acknowledging. Rick left, shoulders squared but steps uncertain. Karen rushed in. Are you okay? Elena's smile was thin. Okay is a small boat in rough sea. We can kill this idea, Karen insisted. Call it unsafe. Elena shook her head. If I refuse, seniors think fear wins. If I accept, pride may win, she sighed. I must find third option. That afternoon, she bussed to Riverside Park. Maya already waited, hoodie zipped. Bruise nearly gone, she waved a newspaper viral throwing grandma challenges at Jason. Maya beamed. That's you. Your stance went everywhere on TikTok. Elena groaned. Technology has loud lungs. They practiced sweeps. Maya's confidence bloomed like spring crocus. Mid-drill, Elena blurted the board's proposal. Maya's face hardened. They want to exploit you. Perhaps, Elena conceded, but charities would benefit. Your health matters more than charity clout. Maya crossed arms. Besides, if you fight him, narrative becomes old versus young, not respect versus ego. What if you control narrative differently? Elena pondered. This 20-year-old, only days into self-defense, already grasped storytelling stakes. She recalled Miguel saying smart allies appear in surprising forms. After training, Elena attended evening mass. Incense curled, hymns drifted. Father Ortiz preached on turning weaknesses into witness. Elena heard another message: turn conflict into community. Monday, 11:55 a.m., dojo conference room. Ms. Glass tapped watch as Elena entered wearing her lavender cardigan. But now the cardigan covered a neatly folded gi top in her tote. Nguyen, Karen, board members, and Rick formed a semi-row. Vertical squares of two sponsors hovered on a wall screen. Ms. Glass opened. Decision time. Elena placed tote on table. I accept, but with conditions. Brows lifted, she counted on fingers. One match becomes demonstration, not competition. We showcase fall safety, grip variations for different body types, adaptive judo for arthritis. 2 all proceed split, half to community outreach, half to domestic violence shelter Casa Esperanza. 3 Coach Rick co-teaches with me for next month in senior class. If either of us violates code of respect, sponsorship ends. Gasps, murmurs. Rick's mouth parted but no sound came. Nguyen's eyes sparkled. Karen suppressed fist pump. Ms. Glass frowned. Competition sells more seats. Elena tilted head. Fear sells seats too, but we sell courage. Audience will witness cooperation between generations. That is better brand. Sponsor at Unlimited Domestic Violence Shelter aligns with our SIR aims. I'm in. Sponsor B Adaptive Judo is trending. Good publicity. Ms. Glass saw tide shift. She smoothed blazer. Fine. Demonstration it is. She eyed Elena, but we still need a hook. Elena slipped Clotis embroidered gi from tote. Hook is simple. She faced with them. At 67, I'll show seniors they can fall and rise safely. Coach Rick will show youth respect learns from experience. Together we break the myth that age divides. Even Ms. Glass softened a fraction. Friday at 7, we'll stream on YouTube live. Meeting closed. Rick approached Elena privately. You just saved my reputation and handcuffed me to charity. What's your angle? Elena smiled. A throw can hurt or help depending on how you guide the fall. Same with fame. Rick laughed, a real laugh. Teach me that guidance trick. Thursday 6 a.m. Matsy, she said, bring humility. He saluted sarcastically, but eyes held curiosity instead of scorn. Word spread faster than strep in kindergarten. Flyers promised the harmony throwdown, where age meets agility. Local radio invited callers to guess whether Grandma Hurricanes could flip Coach Ego. Memes blossomed of Elena wielding a mop like a lightsaber. She cringed but trusted the plan. Nian doubled cleaning budget, foot traffic tripled. Elena worked overtime, yet Karen insisted students help. Lydia led a sweep squad. Paul wiped mirrors. Little Axe knitted community tighter. Wednesday night, Elena unlocked Dojo at 10:30 p.m. for solitary rehearsal. Lights dimmed to twilight mode. She arranged crash mats, inhaled hawk and pine scent of practice dummies stacked like slumbering giants. She rehearsed flow with an imaginary Rick bow, grip, off bow and guide. Land, she adapted moves for arthritic hips, slower reaction times. After 40 minutes, sweat trickled down temples, heart thrummed steady, but on final sequence, she pivoted, knee twinged sharply, pain shot like electric eel. She collapsed onto mat, biting lip. Breast came ragged. She pressed fingers into meniscus, cursing brittle cartilage. Panic nagged, what if knee fails Friday? Headlines would flip. She closed eyes, recited calming mantra. Mercedes taught pain as a guest. Invite it to tea. Then show at the door. She stretched, iced with a bag of frozen eye packs from lobby freezer, hobbled home. That night she dreamed of lost tatami again, this time vibrant, music playing. Arturo absent, she woke oddly peaceful. Thursday 6 a.m. Matsy. Rick arrived, hair tousled. Humility mostly intact. Elena greeted with bow, warm up. They stretched in silence. Then she demonstrated Kuzashi principles slowly, leading partners center line. She explained his conversation, not conquest. Rick mimicked clumsy. She corrected foot angles. He adjusted, nodded. After 20 minutes, she suggested real-time drill. He hesitated. You sure? Knee okay? She raised brow. Word travels fast indeed. Knee fine if ego stays light, she said. They began. Rick attempted sekinage. Elena slipped, redirected, guiding him into gentle roll. He popped up laughing. Your water, he exclaimed. She smiled. First sincere exchange. They practiced counters, last punctuating thuds. At end, both bowed, panting. Respect rooted. Rick broke silence. I used to be a foster kid, he said. Gaze on floor. Only consistency was wrestling mats in school gyms. Coaches yelled. I listened. Maybe that's why I yell now. Never had gentle instruction. Elena placed hand on his sleeve. The cage spotted one that still held power. Now you do. He blinked twice, nodded. Thanks. Friday noon. Tech crews mounted LED lights, laid extra mats, arranged 50 folding chairs. Espen Portland tweeted link receipts hit 200. Nian gave Elena a backstage pass, catchily an old lanyard with her Pan Am photo laminated. She laughed until tears pricked, seeing 19-year-old face. She spent afternoon napping, stretching, sipping bone broth. Maya texted motivational gifts. Lydia sent jelly hearts emoji. Father Ortiz promised prayers. Dottie threatened to throw confetti on Nat. At 6:30 p.m., Elena donned gi, tied belt. Karen braided her hair with a lavender ribbon. Miguel would thrill. Karen whispered. Elena squeezed her hand. Gortain, just a blue tarp, separated warm-up area from audience. She peeked. Room-packed seniors waving glow sticks. Teenagers live streaming. Local newscasters priming lines. Banners displayed sponsor logos beside Casa Esperanza's dove symbol. Rick bounced, headphones pumping reggaeton. When he spotted Elena, he removed them. Ready, sensei. She chuckled. We are both students tonight. Nguyen stepped onto mat, microphone in hand. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Harmony Throwdown. Tonight is not a fight. Tonight is a family lesson. 2 generations will demonstrate the beauty of falling and rising together. Cheers. He introduced Rick. Applause, whoops. Then please stand for Ms. Elena Ruiz. Crowd erupted, some chanting her recants. She bowed, throat tightening at rush of affection. Nguyen laid ground rules 3 segments, 1 basic brackfall demo, 2 grip exchanges showing mutual respect. 3 cooperative randori, a free-flow spar at 50 parent power, ending in symbol of unity. Segment 1 Elena performed backfall, side fall, forward roll. Each slap echoed applause. She invited Dottie from audience, guided her through gentle backfall. Dottie rose gleeful, fist pumped. Segment 2 Rick explained modern grip tactics. Elena countered with classic forms. They traded, instructing audience how each adaptation evolved. At one point Rick lifted her but stopped midair to show safe landing cues. She landed softly, popped up, dusted imaginary lint. Laughter and admiration blended. Segment 3 Randori. They bowed, circled, camera zoomed. Elena felt knee protest but breathed deep. Rick attacked Sakuin edge. She pivoted, executed taikotashi, but slowed momentum, letting him roll gracefully. Audience gasped, then cheered. He countered with koshiguruma. She rode hip. Tumbled. They played dance more than duel, each throw ending in mutual smiles. Final 30 seconds. Elena signaled silent cue learned in morning Fridays. He nodded. She finded kochigari. Rick stepped. She redirected into sasuri kamiashi, guiding him into textbook side fall. She knelt beside, offered hand. He took and, once upright, turned to audience. Raised her arm like a champion boxer. Place exploded. Nguyen returned, voice shaking. Tonight raised $23,000. Casa Esperanza and Riverbend Outreach, thank you. Confetti cannons popped. Dottie's doing. Reporters swarmed. Elena politely offered sound bites about resilience, kindness, hidden talents blooming at any age. One asked, "What's next for Grandma Hurricanes?" She replied, "Coffee, knee ice, and mentoring whoever knocks." Backstage, Rick hugged her. "You taught me more in a week than 10 years of seminars." He handed a Sharpie. "Sign my belt." She laughed and wrote, "Guidance, not conquest, AR." Karen burst in with phone. "You've been invited to keynote at State Senior Wellness Expo." Elena's jaw dropped. Rick snapped selfie the custodian and coach, grinting like kids. When crowd thinned, Elena sat alone on mat, fingertips brushing foam. She bowed, whispering, "Gracias, Miguel." We kept moving. Tears slid, but they were sweet, not salty with grief. Thunder of applause still rang in rafters, but inside her chest, a hush bloomed, a quiet satisfaction deeper than metals. She traced knee. Yes, it ached, but pain was guest finishing tea, preparing to leave. The challenge no one saw coming had arrived, not as combat, but as cooperation. And in accepting it on her terms, Elena Ruiz rewrote the story the world expected. From showdown to slow down, from ego to empathy, from lost tatami to shared ground. End of chapter 4. Saturday night faded into Sunday pre-dawn before Elena Ruiz finally crawled into bed. Her bones ached, her knee throbbed, but her heart felt as light as the confetti that still glittered in her braid. She expected sleep to swallow her whole. Instead, dreams arrived in shattered snippets, a roar of crowds in Barcelona. The smell of sweet-soaked burlap training mats, the echo of Arturo Ledesma's bamboo rod cracking air. She jolted awake at 5:17 a.m., lungs tight, palms slick. Luna the cat kneaded her calf, mewing protest at the early alarm that did not exist. Elena stroked for until both heartbeats slowed. It was only a dream, she whispered, yet she knew better. The past never visits without reason. Just then her phone buzzed. Unknown number. She debated ignoring it, but curiosity won. "Senora Ruiz," a male voice, older, raspy, foreign. "Who is this?" "A ghost," he answered. "A ghost seeking forgiveness." She stopped breathing. "Arturo." Silence, then a cough. "I saw the video, 67 and still floating." "You remain La Tormenta." Another cough. "I'm in Portland for a coaching clinic. We should talk. I owe you." She could almost taste rust on his tonu, memory of blood from split lips after grueling drills. Her thumb hovered over end, but another thought slipped in closure. "Where?" she asked, voice steady. "Hotel Riverside, lobby lounge." Noon. Click. Elena sat motionless, pulse throbbing in wrists where scars mapped history. Meeting him felt outrageous, yet a strange calm spread. She brewed cinnamon coffee, sipped, and watched sunlight crawl across kitchen tiles like timid reconciliation. At 10 o'clock, she attended Mass. Father Ortiz noticed shadows under her eyes. "Trouble, Hija?" he asked during communion line. She murmured, "The past knocks." He offered extra blessing, fingers tracing cross over her forehead. After service she walked Riverside Park's loop, rehearsing dialogues never spoken. Dogs chased frisbees, children squealed. Sunday felt innocently loud. She exhaled worry, inhaled cold river air, then headed to the hotel. The riverside lobby smelled of lemon wax and stale cigars. Arturo Ledesma sat in a leather chair near the fireplace, a cane propped beside him. Time had shrunk the one towering coach. Spine curved, hair sparse, complexion sallow, yet the predator glint lingered in his eyes when they lifted to meet hers. He struggled to stand. Gracias por venir, he said. Elena kept distance. Say what you called to say. He sank back. Tremor in his left hand rattled porcelain dimitas. I have stage 4 lung cancer. Doctors give months. I try to speak. Pretend relevance. Maybe die in a dojo. Pathetic. No. He forced a laugh. Dissolved into coughing. She waited. I wronged many, he continued. You most. I taught fear, not judo. Last night watching you guide that younger coach, I finally understood what I destroyed. He swallowed. I beg forgiveness. Forgiveness. Easy word, heavy cargo. Images flashed. Arturo gripping her wrist. Bruises blooming, his voice snarling obedience. Teen Elena cleaning blood off her own gi while boys laughed. She felt bile rise. Forgiveness is not mine alone, she replied. You stole dreams from generations of girls who quit after your camps. He winced. They would not meet me. I hope you, Bios, you surpassed me. His eyes watered. Whether illness, guilt, or performance, she couldn't tell. She turned toward door, then paused. I cannot absolve you, but I can release myself. She faced him fully. I no longer carry your shame. Die with it if you must. Or bury it by telling the truth. Issue a public apology. End the cycle. Arturo gripped cane, whisper roped, I will. Tears tracked edge-racked cheeks. Grayus Tormenta. She flinched at nickname but offered small nod, then walked out. Lungs expanding for first time in 40 years. By Monday morning, local media buzzed that famed Mexican coach Arturo Ledesma had attended Riverbend's event incognito. Rumors flew of a reunion video. Nguyen asked Elena if she wanted P-spin. She declined, requesting silence. Life, however, refused hush. Coach Rick burst into janitor's closet mid-shift, phone waving, Ledesma trending. Sports blogs dig his abuse allegations. Reporters connecting dots to you. They want comment. I gave none. Elena squeezed mop handle. They'll move on. Maybe, but dojo won't. Parents fear association. Rick's shoulder slumped. Board schedules emergency meeting tonight. Karen joined them, cheeks flushed. Sponsors threaten to pull if we look complicit. We need narrative fast. Elena sighed. Truth then. I'll tell my story publicly on our terms. Nguyen supported. Board reluctantly agreed. Ms. Glass saw viral upside. A town hall style live stream set for Wednesday. That evening, Elena met Maya at park. Maya's eyes darted, voice hushed. My boyfriend, Eli, found texts. He's furious I'm training. Says judo's pointless. She pushed sleeve, revealing fresh bruise. Fire ignited in Elena's chest. You are not property. I know, but he's bigger. Tears threatened. Could you be there when I end it? Tonight, cafe across from his work? Elena nodded instantly. We stand together. Cafe Dia, neon humming, smelled of espresso and burnt sugar. Eli arrived. Jaw tight, lugging my gem duffel. He spotted Maya and Elena. Who's the granny? He sneered. Maya's voice shook but held my mentor. Eli slammed palm on table. You're done humiliating me online. He grabbed Maya's wrist. Reflexes honed by park sessions fired. She rotated toward his thumb. Slipped free, stepped back. Eli blinked, stunned. Lucky move. He reached again. Elena slid between, barely touching his chest with open palm, just enough kuzashi to cough balance. He stumbled into chair. Rage flared, fists rose. Cafe patrons gasped. Elena spoke, calm razor. Violence here ends two ways: police report or apology. Eli sized her up, laughed. Grandma, sit down before you break a hip. He lunged, sloppy boxer's jab. Elena pivoted, caught sleeve, guiding him in small Earl, te sabaki, until he toppled. Momentum flipping chair. He hit floor, breath whooshed. Gasps turned to applause from students filming. Maya stood tall. We're done, Eli. Walk away. Police cruiser's sirens neared. Barista had pressed alarm. Eli scrambled outdoor, ego limp. Maya's knees wobbled, but she smiled. That felt powerful. She hugged Elena hard. Strangers clapped. One old woman cheered, Go, Granny Ninja. Elena laughed, tension draining. Wednesday 7 p.m. Town hall stream. Dojo cleared of equipment, folding chairs arranged. Cameras, ring lights, mixed stands, professional as morning news. 50 in-person guests filled first rows. Thousands watched online. Nguyen open tonight we confront uncomfortable history to build safer future. He introduced Elena. She walked on stage wearing simple blue blouse, sleeves rolled, scars visible, murmurs rippled. She began, voice strong. I share not to tarnish judo, but to cleanse it. She recounted teenage prodigy days, Arturo's abuse without graphic detail, her escape. Years of silence. She spoke of Miguel's love, immigration, widowhood, custodial job, rediscovery of Matt, Friday's demonstration, Arturo's call, and hotel meeting. Audience silent save for occasional sniffles. She concluded, abuse thrives in shadows. I choose sunlight. I forgive myself for staying silent so long. I invite others to step forward. Karen then shared resources hotlines, dojo's new zero-tolerance policy. Rick read a pledge of respectful coaching. Voice cracking. Lydia's grandmother spoke of daughters quitting sports due to toxic instructors and thanked Elena for example. Live stream chat flooded hearts, fist bumps, judo for all #trending, donations poured to Casa Esperanza. A segment. A reporter asked, if Arturo Ledesma apologizes publicly, will you accept? Elena answered, acceptance is not endorsement. Forgiveness frees me, not him, from consequence. Applause thundered. Afterward, Ms. Glass pulled Elena aside, tears smudging mascara. My mother left an abusive marriage. I never thanked her courage. You reminded me. She hugged her. Sponsorships have doubled. Thursday morning, National Sports Channel aired an exclusive Arturo issuing formal apology, naming victims, donating savings to women's athletic scholarship. Clip ended with his plea, judo taught me to fall. I finally accept the mat. Elena watched from locker room bench, tears mixing with smile. Minutes later, breaking news, Arturo collapsed during taping, transported to hospital, prognosis grave. She sat processing. Karen found her. You okay? Elena nodded. He fell, but this time with truth. Friday sunrise. Elena unlocked dojo, barefoot on mat. She bowed. Whispered prayer, for Arturo's soul, may his freedom, Lydia's courage, Rick's growth, her own peace. She began kata, slow, deliberate, each step merged past and present, SARS flexing under skin, not in shame but testament. Footsteps approached. Rick, Karen, Nguyen, Dottie, Maya, even Paul in school uniform entered silently, lining Matt's edge. One by one they bowed and joined her sequence. No regard for rank, age or ego. Movement synchronized community kata. As they finished, Karen said softly, past collided with present, but future begins right now. Elena felt warmth bloom. She bowed to friends, to Matt, to rising sun streaming through skylight. Echoes finally harmonized. Cheers, tears. The bamboo crack transformed into clack of broom handled by a janitor who was never just a janitor. End of chapter 5. The Monday after the sunrise, community kata felt oddly anticlimactic. No cameras. No LED rigs, no hashtags streaming across tablets, just the steady drip of the water fountain in Riverbend's hallway and the faint citrus scent of floor cleaner Elena had mixed herself for years. Yet beneath the ordinary pulsed something expansive, as if the very oxygen had stretched to make room for new possibilities. Elena stood at the front desk signing for apparel, 4 cases of soft-shell knee pads donated by a sporting goods chain that watched Wednesday's town hall. The delivery driver glanced at the return label, then at her. You the Hurricanes granny? He asked, half green, half ale. She chuckled, just Elena, but thank you. He tipped his cap and left. She stacked the boxes inside supply closet B, the one that smelled of cedar and bleach, then paused. That phrase, just Elena, suddenly felt inaccurate. She was widow, custodian, mentor, judo artist, keynote speaker to be, and still a pilgrim on a road paved with unfinished healing. The roles shimmered like overlapping transparencies. Miguel used to tell her the Japanese word kokoro meant heart and spirit, so intertwined you couldn't separate them. Maybe identity worked that way too. A knock at the doorway jolted her. Sensei Nguyen, phone in hand. Eyes dancing. Expo committee emailed final schedule. They've moved you from side workshop to closing keynote. 3,000 attendees in the main hall. Elena's stomach swirled. 3,000? And live streamed to senior centers statewide. He bent into a bow. They have never given spotlight to a first-time speaker, but your story, well, you know. I don't know, she confessed. I only know how to bow and fall. That is exactly what they want. Truth in motion. He straightened. Also, a Portland high school jazz band wrote an original walk-on piece called La Tormenta. They're rehearsing it right now. Elena pressed fingertips to cheekbones, hot with disbelief. Jazz bands, keynotes. Donation rates, things she'd never dreamed. While pushing a mop, she exhaled. Very well, I will bow and fall in front of 3,000. Nguyen laughed. And rise. Don't forget the rise. Yet before she could rise for an entire convention center, Elena needed to sit, preferably on padded medical paper. Her knee, angry ever since the Harmony Throwdown rehearsal, had swollen to the size of a grapefruit. Karen insisted she see an orthopedist, even drove her to the clinic Tuesday morning. Dr. Patel, a marathon-running physician with kind eyes, studied the Marek. Meniscus fraying, moderate, nothing catastrophic, but continued strain could do real damage. Will I need surgery? Elena asked. Not if you rest. Physical therapy, anti-inflammatories, maybe a cortisone shot. But rest means rest. No randori for at least 6 weeks. He waited for pushback. Elena surprised him by nodding immediately. The mat will wait. Karen exhaled. Good. We need you standing for that keynote. While the nurse readied the injection, Dr. Patel tapped his tablet. Funny thing, my mother forwarded me your town hall video. She's 74, says you convinced her to join chair yoga. Influencing strangers is healthy for the soul, just keep your body in one piece. Elena left the clinic with an ice pack rode beneath her slacks and a prescription for physical therapy. Karen drove, chattering about expo logistics. Elena half listened, half watched drizzle race down the passenger window like tadpoles. Her knee ached, yes, but deeper muscles ached for someone who could never attend the expo Arturo. She had checked the hospital website that morning. His condition listed critical. No visitors except family. Still, she felt responsible for offering final peace if life allowed. Keynote preparations could wait 1 hour. She asked Karen to detour to St. Agnes Hospice. Hospice corridors whispered of lavender oil and low-volume televisions. Elena found Arturo in room 214. Breathing through a mask, morphine drip clicking. A young nurse adjusted monitors, unaware of decades bottled in the air between patient and visitor. Elena stepped forward. Arturo's eyelids fluttered open. Recognition flickered. He lifted a trembling hand 2 inches off the sheet, a gesture of half salute, half surrender. She bowed, subtle, and took the hand, skin papery and cold. I came to say you kept your promise, she whispered. The apology is public. Scholarships already pledges. His lips moved around the mask Rias Liber, free, whether he meant himself or her. She didn't know. She squeezed his fingers once, then pressed them back to his chest. She bowed a second time. It's one not to the abusive coach, but to the boy he once was before ego metastasized like tumors now ravaging his lungs. A bow to the unseen humanity. Outside, she caught the nurse by elbow. If family needs anti-pain transport. Translation: all Riverbend Dojo. We will help. The nurse nodded, eyes soft. Wednesday spiraled into costume changes and speech drafts. Rick arrived with USB drives full of demonstration clips the Expo Tech crew requested. Lydia and Maya offered to design slide backgrounds. Dottie mailed a box of glittery bowing ribbons in case the stage needs pizzazz. But Wednesday evening Elena received an unexpected visitor. Donna Merides, the retired sensei who once healed her teenage bruises, walked into the dojo leaning on a carved mahogany cane, silver braids swishing down her back. Elena Maria Ruiz, she called across the lobby, you slice years off my life chasing you on internet. They embraced, tears breaching decades. Mercedes pulled back to examine Elena like a painting. Your aura is louder now. It's the microphones, Elena joked, then grew serious. I owe you everything. Nonsense. I only opened a door. You built the house. She tapped Elena's temple. But remember, fame opens windows, and winds may carry your purpose away if you don't anchor it. They spent hours in the deserted dojo sipping chamomile, Mercedes recounting her own war with absurdity, how she taught judo in a church basement for free because no club would pay a woman in the 1960s. She gifted Elena a faded green notebook. Inside, lesson plans, reflections, sketches of throws adapted for hips stiff with age. For your senior curriculum, she said. Finish what I started. Before bed, Elena read a page titled Bowing to the Unseen. Technique is visible. Intention is hidden. Bow not only to opponent, but to invisible lineage, parents, janitors, farmers who fed you, strangers who prayed safety over your path. She fell asleep hearing those words echo. Expo Day, Saturday, carved on a crystal blue sky that seemed to ring like a tuning fork. The Oregon Convention Center's hall buzzed with 200 attendees, retirees comparing step counters, Tai-Chi instructors twirling silk fans, nutritionists arranging quinoa tasting bowls. Booth banners flapped aging strong, brain fitness, holistic hula trooping. Backstage, Elena sat on a folding chair, lavender ribbon braided into hair, knee wrapped under white slacks. She wore a tailored navy blazer over a cream gi top, half keynote speaker, half judoka. The jazz band's trumpet riffs leaked through curtains like caffeinated butterflies. Rick paced nearby, fidgeting with his tie. He wasn't on the program, but volunteered to introduce her. "Why am I more nervous than when I fought regionals?" he muttered. "Because words have no tap-out," Elena teased. An event coordinator handed Rick a mic. 90 seconds, sir. Then cue the band. And Ms. Ruiz enters center ramp. Rick inhaled, stepped onto stage. Applause rolled. Elena peeked through curtain. Heart knocking. "Rick began when I started judo. I thought strength was smashing through walls. Then a 67-year-old custodian showed me strength is guiding walls to fall with grace." He told a condensed version of Harmony Throwdown, pausing for laughs at his own ego. "Today she will teach us how to bow to limitations and stand anyway." Ladies and gentlemen, La Tormenta, humbly known as Elena Ruiz. Band launched into up-tempo horns, cymbals shimmering. Elena stepped onto the ramp. The sea of faces blurred. Wheelchair rows up front, high school volunteers in lime shirts along aisles. Media platforms glowing red rec lights. She reached center, executed a slow, formal bow. The hall grew quiet enough to hear banners rustle. She spoke without notes. "My mother taught me to greet everyone as family. Family means honesty, so let us begin with knees." She tapped her brace. "This knee has more crackle than breakfast cereal. Arthritis, meniscus wear. Yet yesterday it practiced gratitude by walking me here." Laughter, nods. She told how she mopped floors to stay near mats, how invisibility warped her spine more than age. She recounted Friday demonstration, the cafe confrontation, the hospice bow. She read Mercedes' notebook line, projecting it bow to the unseen. Then she invited unseen workers on stage. From wings emerged two custodians of the convention center, still in gray jumpsuits. Audience gasped pleasantly. Elena introduced them. "Mr. Calhoun keeps your bathroom safe from germs. Ms. Thompson made sure your chairs were steady." Attendees applauded thunderously. The custodians teared up. Elena led them through medics race how to hinge at hips to avoid back strain lifting trash bins. The entire hall mimicked movements in their seats, 3,000 spines flexing in gratitude. Next she called Dottie and Lydia forward, demonstrating seated break falls using cushioned stools. The jazz drummer accented each slap with crim shot Dottie through double P signs. Audience roared. Finally, Elena addressed domestic violence survivors watching from centers statewide. "Pain tells us we are alive. Healing tells us we deserve to be." She announced Casa Esperanza scholarship funded by Expo Proceeds and a pledge to host monthly empowerment mats, free clinics for any woman over 60 who had ever felt small. Standing ovations swelled, some people beating canes against the carpet like drums. Elena's eyes glossed. She bowed again, deeper, arms at sides. In that long arc she felt every invisible force. Miguel's hand on shoulder. Mercedes' notebook, Artro's grasping apology, Dr. Piddle's caution, Karen's steadfast joy. Rick's changed heart, May's new courage, custodian's quiet labor. She rose into a radiance that felt collective. Backstage she collapsed onto chair, adrenaline crashing. The coordinator thrust a schedule meet and greet. Press huddle, photo op with state governor. Elena groaned good-naturedly. "First, ice." Rick fetched bag from cooler as he wrapped her knee. He whispered, "You just bowed the whole building into tears." "Buildings deserve bows," she murmured, eyes closing. Sunday evening, she returned home to small apartment, Expo lanyard still around neck. Mail wedged in doorframe, among bills, a padded envelope with Mexican stamps. Inside, a letter handwritten in shaky script. "Senora Ruiz, Dad passed early Saturday. He asked I send you his first black belt. He said you would know what to do with it. Gracias for forgiving what you could. The Isabella Ledesma." Elena unfolded soft, faded cotton belt, edges frayed, embroidery barely legible. She pressed it to her forehead. No tears, aim calmly avast. Quiet acceptance. She placed it beside her own in cedar box. Two belts, two histories, now neighbors. She opened notebook to blank page and wrote unseen vow. Each throw I teach will honor those who clean the mats, raise the children, and brave the bruises unnoticed. She dated it and signed A.R. Monday dawn pink. Elena arrived early at Riverbend carrying a fresh bucket of soapy water. She knelt, dipped rag, wiped confetti flakes still hiding in corners from filming days ago. She hummed hymns, each stroke polishing wood, each bubble reflecting skylight. She wasn't cleaning up after a party, she was preparing sanctified ground for next beginning. At 7:15 Karen poked head in doorway, eyes widening. You don't have to do that anymore. We hired a service after sponsors. Elena waved her closer. I mop not because I must, but because mats deserve respect. When work is worship, titles vanish. Karen grabbed a second rag, then let me worship too. They scrubbed in companionable silence until first students arrived. That afternoon, seniors shuffled onto mat B for the inaugural empowerment clinic. Maya wore a borrowed white belt, cheeks glowing. Dottie sported glitter patches shaped like phoenixes. Mr. Calhoun and Ms. Thompson, custodians turned students, stood bashfully at back, uniforms traded for clonergics. Elena faced them, cane borrowed from Mercedes in hand. Today we learn how to fall. But first we learn to bow. Too many people hurry past that part. Bowing reminds joints we are grateful they still bend. Bowing invites the unseen to witness. They bowed in synchrony. Sunlight slanted through windows, highlighting dust motes swirling like tiny galaxies. Elena thought these partiles, concealed yet everywhere, care evidence we share breath with history. She smiled. Let the lesson begin. Outside the dojo, life bustled, bruises groaning, clats foaming, algorithms ranking. Inside, a silver-haired widow guided elders and janitors, teens and trauma survivors through movements older than electricity. With every controlled descent and triumphant rise, they formed constellation of stories bowing to one another, to those who paved, and to those who would one day walk the same path unseen. End of Chapter 6. Riverbend Martial Arts Academy had always echoed with kieves and sneaker squeaks. But 6 weeks after Elena Ruiz opened her first empowerment clinic, the building sounded different, fuller, warmer, like a choir that had discovered harmony after years of singing solo. The difference wasn't volume, it was texture. You heard it in overlapping laughter, in the shuffle of canes next to the slap of bare feet, in Spanish greetings answered by English thank yous, in the thunk of a mop handle keeping rhythm with jazz riffs blaring from Karen's Bluetooth speaker while seniors stretched. That Tuesday morning began with Elena unlocking the doors at 5:45 a.m. As usual, only now she was not alone. Mr. Calhoun, the convention and her custodian turned white belt, carried a box of donuts. Ms. Thompson balanced a tray of peppermint tea. Both wore Riverbend volunteer lanyards printed with a motto Karen had designed: stronger together it at us oro. Age is gold. You two beat the sunrise, Elena teased, scanning their faces for exhaustion. Instead she found sparkles of purpose, the kind that outshines caffeine. Ms. Thompson shrugged. Couldn't sleep thinking about today's lesson. Rear break falls off a yoga block, right? Correct. Elena suppressed a grin. 30 years ago she'd believed real students craved flying armbars, not careful descents. She understood now bravery isn't measured by height of throw but by willingness to keep showing up. By 9, the dojo resembled a bustling market square. Seniors filed in chatting about knee braces and grandkids. Maya passed around flyers for Casa Esperanza's self-defense open house. Lydia, fresh off winning bronze at the Northwest Youth Invitational, demonstrated foot sweeps to a row of second graders. Coach Rick floated between groups offering pointers, posture straighter than ever but voice gentler. His decibel had dropped while his patience grew. Sensei Nguyen emerged from his office holding a stack of glossy newsletters. First print run, he announced. The front page bore a photo of Elena mid-bow at the expo. Headline from Mop to Mentor: How One Woman Flipped an Entire Community. Dottie snatched a copy and fanned herself theatrically. I want this framed above my fireplace, next to my bowling trophies. Elena laughed but felt flush. Praise still fit awkwardly like a gi top after tumble drying. She redirected attention. Everyone, circle up. Today we try something new. Community Ukame. What's that? Paul, now 8, asked, donut glaze shining on his chin. Ukame means receiving the ground, Elena explained. We'll form a chain. Each person helps the next one roll or fall. Strength shared becomes strength multiplied. They formed a broad oval, toddlers clutching stuffed turtles beside retirees with titanium hips. Rick 6'3" flanking Mrs. Glass. Yes, even the venture capitalist board member now sported a yellow belt and neon manicure. At Elena's cue they bowed, then one by one executed soft side falls, passing momentum like a wave. Cameras liked parents, local newspaper, a documentary grad student. Yet inside the circle, awareness shrank to touch and trust: sleeve gently guiding shoulder, palm cushioning elbow. When the last person, Nguyen, slapped the mat, applause erupted. Elena felt her throat tighten. The chain had no weak links because everyone had carried someone else. That was new math. Zero ego, zero shame, 100 connection. The afternoon brought the first meeting of Riverbend's advisory council. It convened at a folding table in the lobby. Elena, Nguyen, Karen, Rick, Maya, Dottie, Ms. Glass, and Representative Carla Jimenez from City Council, who'd shown up unannounced after her mother live-streamed Yukame on Facebook. Representative Jimenez wore a charcoal blazer and Nike sneakers. Our Parks Department is revamping senior fitness programming, she said, tapping tablet. Your model merges generations and trauma-informed care. I'd like to replicate it citywide, if you can craft a curriculum in 8 weeks. Karen's jaw dropped. Rick whistled low. Elena inhaled slowly. 8 weeks is swift, she said. Ms. Glass leaned in. Sponsors will fight to stamp their logos on this. I can pull 6 figures if we brand wisely. But Nguyen lifted a hand. Let us secure heart before we chase funds. He looked at Elena. Can we scale without losing spirit? Elena considered the eater-scented closet, the broom that once felt like a sword, the vow she'd written in Mercedes' notebook. If every new location begins by honoring unseen workers, janitors, cafeteria staff, bus drivers, then growth will not hollow us. Representative Jimenez smiled. That's the deal. Elena's evenings, once quiet with Luna and lentil soup, now buzzed with planning sessions. One night, while mapping lesson sequences on sticky notes, she caught herself rubbing her healing knee. Dr. Patel's guidelines echoed rest. She set timer for stretch breaks, forced herself into ice baths. Leadership couldn't afford limping metaphors. Meanwhile, Rick handled social media, posting daily clips titled Kindness Combat Basics. He featured seniors as instructors. Dottie's video teaching wrist escapes hit 1.2 million views on TikTok, a platform she called the clock that ticks backward. Maya, balancing part-time bakery shifts, served as peer advocate at Casa Esperanza. She started a weekly support circle called Power in Pairs. Every survivor partnered with a volunteer for walks, meals, job interview practice. Elena attended the inaugural session and watched Maya, voice once tremulous, facilitate with calm authority. Afterward, Maya whispered, "You gave me language. I'm giving it echoes." Tension arrived mid-March in a crisp envelope stamped notice of sale. Riverbend's landlord planned to sell the warehouse to a tech startup charmed by high ceilings for drone testing. Closing in 60 days. Nguyen read the letter aloud in staff meeting. Silence. Then Dottie cleared her throat. We just learned how to fall together. Time to stand together. Ideas flew. Petition drives, corporate bids, relocation. Ms. Glass calculated purchase price near $2. $3 million. Rick muttered, I could sell my car, still need $2 million more. Laughter broke tension. Elena steepled fingers. Property is walls. Community is breath. But breath needs shelter from wind. We fight politely. They launched Keep the Mats Rolling campaign. Lydia designed logo overlapping footprints forming a heart. Teens canvassed neighborhoods. Seniors phone banked. Maya filmed testimonial of how dojo saved her life. Within 2 weeks they raised $180. Zero, impressive yet miles short. Then something unexpected, an email from the estate of Miguel Ruiz's former hospital oncologist, Dr. Halvorsen. He had passed away, leaving a philanthropic fund. His assistant had watched Elena's expo speech and recommended Riverbend as beneficiary. Grant amount $1. $5 million. Elena wept upon reading. In the same hour, Ms. Glass secured a matching pledge from Evergreen Foods Inc., pending City Council's designation of the building as Historic Community Wellness Site, an honorary status representative. Jimenez pushed through in record time. Goal met. Deal closed. The dojo would transfer to a nonprofit trust, free from speculative buyers. Announcement day turned into a block party. Food trucks lined the parking lot. Jazz band students reprised La Tormenta. Dr. Patel danced meringue with Dottie. News anchors reported live in front of confetti cannons. Dottie again. Elena stood on a makeshift stage of stacked mats, microphone shaking in her grip. Voice firm, nevertheless, we saved these walls, but what we truly protected is the promise inside them that every time someone rolls here, they land on community. Weeks more passed. The first satellite empowerment clinic launched at Eastside Recreation Center. Elena limped less, but for long subway rides she wore a brace. She arrived to open house carrying Mercedes' notebook, now sprouting colored tabs. The re-entered janitor, a Cambodian refugee named Dara, greeted her shyly. Elena bowed and handed him a silver whistle like Paul's. Courage is contagious, she said. Dara joined class 2 days later. The curriculum blended judo basics, storytelling circles, and what Rick called myroats of mutual aid. Participants took 5-minute breaks to write anonymous encouragement notes slipped under neighbors' yoga blocks. A local psychologist studied the program. Preliminary data showed drops in isolation and spikes in self-efficacy across age groups. Grant proposals multiplied. Spring's last chill yielded to riotous cherry blossoms. Elena celebrated her 68th birthday with a sunrise hike up Mt. Tabor. At the summit she unpacked bread, goat cheese, and a thermos of hibiscus tea, Miguel's favorite. She read Prado poems aloud to the wind, then texted Karen a selfie making a goofy biceps pose beneath pink blossoms. Caption: another ring on the tree, still storming. Returning to the dojo, she found a surprise: the mats cleared. Lights dimmed, students and staff lined in 2 rows. Nguyen stepped forward holding a new belt, a deep indigo embroidered with gold kanji reading Sensei de Corazon, heart teacher. Elena, ranks matter less than impact, he said, voice husky, but we mark this moment so stories remember. She fought tears. I'm retired from ranks, she protested. This isn't rank, he replied, easing belt into her hands. It's a thank you note you can tie around your waist. She bowed, accepted, tied. Applause thundered. Even Luna the At, smuggled in by Maya for the caution, meowed from Rick's arms. That night, Elena dreamt of a dojo with no walls at all, just endless tatami floating under aurora skies. People practiced ukami among stars. She woke certain of next step. At the monthly advisory council she unveiled Project Open Mat pop-up classes in parks, shelters, assisted living courtyards, no fees, no registration, use tarps, crash pads, and volunteers. Ms. Glass worried about liability. Representative Jimenez promised the Parks Department would supply insurance riders. Rick offered to lead logistics, Maya to coordinate survivor outreach. Dottie vowed homemade granola bars. Pilot launch took place on a sunny Saturday at Waterfront Park. Blue tarps spread like mosaic tiles. Curious joggers paused, cyclists parked bikes. Elena began with a bow to the Willamette River. She asked everyone to place a palm on the ground. Feel that? Earth holds us no matter age, story, mistake. Today we practice trusting it. By noon, 80 people rotated through: families, skateboard teens, homeless veterans, office workers on lunch break. A 59-year-old man in dress shoes confessed he'd contemplated suicide the night before. The session made him remember the floor was not an enemy but a platform. He enrolled in therapy next week, referred by Maya. Local papers Sunday headline: Open Mat turns riverbank into Hope Harbor. Photos showed Elena mid-throw, river breeze lifting her silver braid like a banner. Of course, success breeds scrutiny. Online trolls surfaced, mocking seniors in gex, questioning whether judo could really heal trauma. One viral tweet: cool story, but cleaning ladies don't save worlds. Elena typed a reply. Paused, deleted. Instead she posted a video of Mrs. Thompson teaching forward rolls to toddlers. Caption: cleaning ladies build worlds. Likes topped 80, 0 trolls retreated. Late May, Elena sat in supply closet B, still scented cedar and bleach, reviewing a stack of letters forwarded by Casa Esperanza. One from a 91-year-old widow in Ohio who watched live streams. I practice chair ukame daily. She wrote, if I fall in the garden my tulips won't be lonely. Another from a teenage boy whose grandmother joined Eastside Clinic. He said she laughed again for first time since grandpa's passing. Each envelope felt like a petal, together blooming into a garden Miguel would have loved. She closed her eyes, whispered gracias to unseen messengers. When she opened them, she noticed something new: the mop bucket's wheels, once squeaky, had been oiled. Someone respected the tools that respected the floor. A community remade indeed, starting from ground up. End of chapter 7. June dawned gentle and gold, bathing Riverbend's renovated facade in light that made the glass doors gleam like fresh lake water. A new brass plate beside the entrance read Riverbend Community Dojo and Wellness Hub, founded on kindness. 2024. Underneath, etched smaller: in honor of all who rise after falling. Elena Ruiz traced the letters with a fingertip before unlocking the door. 6 months had passed since her first empowerment clinic, 3 since the building's purchase, and 3 days since her 68th birthday hike. Yet every morning still felt like page 1 of a story she'd waited her whole life to read. Inside, dawn quiet wrapped the space. No students yet, no reporters, no confetti cannons, just the soft hum of ceiling vents and the scent of eucalyptus bags. Ms. Thompson tucked into every corner. Elena inhaled, feeling lungs expand in familiar gratitude. Her knee, fresh from cortisone follow-up, twinged only a whisper. She bowed to the showman and whispered, "Today let courage speak softly." By 8 o'clock the dojo buzzed. Coach Rick set up tripods for the monthly global open mat livestream. Karen organized name tags for first-timers arriving from as far as Vancouver Island. Dottie distributed glitter-rimmed water bottles reading Fall, Flow, Fly. Lydia arranged crash mats like puzzle pieces while humming indie pop. Mr. Calhoun adjusted sound levels, now official of lead. Maya hustled in with Casa Esperanza flyers announcing a new satellite clinic in Salem. Elena floated through, offering corrections, encouragement, hugs. She marveled 6 months ago these people didn't know each other. Now they formed a machine whose engine ran on kindness and caffeine-free tea. At 8:45 she gathered the volunteer crew in a half-circle. Remember, livestream viewers may be exercising alone in a bedroom or care facility. Speak to them as you would to a neighbor borrowing sugar. Heads nodded, shoulders relaxed. They bowed, hands rested over hearts. 9:08 a.m. The red record light blinked alive. Rick addressed the camera. Welcome world to June's Quiet Courage session. I'm Coach Rick, joined by Sensei de Corazon Elena Ruiz. Applause in house. Heart emojis scrawled online. Elena stepped forward in navy gi pants and the indigo belt embroidered in gold. Buenos Dias, everyone, Portland, Pittsburgh, Peru, and the people in room 3 of Pleasant Pines senior residents who emailed me last night. Laughter waves to unseen friends. She began with breathing drills. Inhale for 4 counts, exhale 6, palms rising like sunrise, lowering like dusk. Viewers typed feels good, my cat is yawning along. Then she introduced today's theme, Quiet Courage. Not every hero swings a sword, she said. Some heroes whisper no to fear when no one watches. She asked participants to recall a recent moment they chose patience over anger, or curiosity over judgment. Dozens posted, I learned my grandson's video game instead of scolding screen time. I walked with my walker to the mailbox alone for first time. I left a toxic group chat without arguing. Hold that memory like a stone in your palm, Elena instructed. Now we will move with it. They practiced chair yukami, gentle hip rotations, partner grip breaks, with lengthy pauses to savor success. Dottie demonstrated a modified forward roll using a pool noodle. The comment feed exploded. Glitter Nana for president. 30 minutes in, Elena invited a special guest, Dara, the re-enter janitor turned assistant instructor. He told the camera, voice trembling yet brave, how erstwhile learning English classes and judo gave him confidence to apply for citizenship. Cheers erupted on screen from Cambodia to Kansas. Closing the class, Elena said, courage grows quiet roots first, then blossoms loud. Water yours daily. She bowed. The room mirrored. Streams ended. Stats flashed 8. 412 live viewers, 21 countries, 0 dropouts during the final 5 minutes. Proof retention thrived on tenderness, not spectacle. After lean up, Nguyen pulled Elena aside. You free at noon? We've a visitor. She raised brow, mysterious. At noon a sleek electric sedan parked. From it stepped Governor Elaine Barrett. Gray streak crowning her coiled hair, posture reminiscent of a fencer at ready. Elena recognized Cher. Barrett had praised the dojo's open park program during last month's press briefing. The governor entered, shoes removed, respectfully bowed clumsily. Sensei Ruiz, Dr. Nguyen, I come bearing both thanks and proposal. They sat at the low conference table. Barrett slid folders forward. State health data shows seniors attending your clinics reduced or fall admissions by 17 in just 1 quarter inside Portland city limits. Physical and mental health metrics improved across all ages. She tapped pages. I'd like to fund a pilot to embed empowerment mats in 30 community centers statewide. Budget $4, $2 million. Karen, present as note taker, gasped. Nguyen's eyes darted to Elena. Elena folded hands calmly. Governor, numbers measure only what eyes can see. These programs also address invisible bruises, trauma, loneliness. Will funds include mental health liaisons? Barrett smiled. Yes, I anticipated that. Counselors and bilingual outreach workers. Rick blurted, that's insane in the good way. Elena chuckled, then grew serious. Growth demands guardians. Our method insists on bowing to the unseen. Custodial staff. Volunteers, survivors. Will you endorse that cultural clause? Write it in, the governor said. She extended hand. Elena clasped it, sealing partnership. The following weeks blurred site visits, curriculum tweaks, media interviews where Elena insisted every soundbite name her team. She half-joked she'd become a traffic conductor for empathy. But storms brew quietly. One August afternoon, Elena opened an email from International Judo Federation. They wished to honor her at the World Masters in Tokyo, induction into the IF Hall of Inspiration. Travel, lodging, stage salutation before 12:00 fans, global live stream. Miguel would have danced at the news. She closed the laptop and sat with it, flying across the Pacific. Crowds, press, they were bright lights, yet could blind from the slow work at home. She promised her knee a break, had just scheduled minor arthroscopy surgery. She also knew many elders might view her acceptance as proof they too could re-engage with abandoned passions. That evening she gathered the advisory council on the mat. She read the letter aloud. Cheers burst. When silence returned, she said, "I will go if you see benefit beyond my ego." Dottie waved glittery cane. "Girl, stop. You planted seeds, let them bloom on another continent." Nguyen added, "Take our stories with you. The world needs them." Decision made. Surgery rescheduled. Tokyo flights booked. September 28th, Tokyo Metropolitan Gymnasium. Elena stood in tunnel backstage, knee wrapped but pain-free, hands sweating inside warm-up gloves. The announcer boomed her name in Japanese and English. She stepped onto the catwalk under spotlights, heart thundering but gaze steady. Screens behind her played a sizzle reel. Young Elena at pancams. Janitor Elena setting mop aside, custodian throwing coach Rick, seniors chain falling. Park pop-up mats flapping in wind. The arena erupted. She bowed. But deeper than any previous bow, almost kneeling, honoring invisible threads connecting that stage to a mop bucket in Portland. After ceremony, reporters surged. One asked, "What victory means most to you?" She replied, "The day a survivor smiles during her first safe fall." Another asked, "Your legacy?" She answered, "To make myself replaceable by empowering many." Back home, watch parties formed. At Pleasant Pines Senior Residence, Room 3 crew toasted Chabaises tea. Kids at Eastside Recreation practiced bowing to janitors on duty. Governor Barrett tweeted, "Oregon's own lands on global stage, quake courage roars." October returned Elena to Riverbend, jet-lagged, humbled, carrying a small hairy wood plaque that read, IF Inspiration Award. She placed it not in the trophy case, but on the janitor's closet shelf, next to spare gloves and broom heads. Ms. Thompson teased, "Hiding your hardware?" Elena winked, "It will keep the mop company." Life settled into a rhythm. Morning silent practice, midday administrative whirlwind. Evening mentoring. She delegated more Maya launched trauma-informed modules. Rick trained coaches statewide. Dara lead language bridge classes. Elena became less center stage, more root system. Quiet courage, she realized, was also stepping back so others could step forward. Late November, the dojo hosted Friendsgiving potluck. Mats covered in picnic cloths. Tables heavy with tamales, sushi, saffron rice, gluten-free pumpkin pie. A microphone invited 2-minute gratitude stories. People spoke of a veteran who found purpose, a teen who overcame social anxiety, a retired librarian whose blood pressure normalized after learning breathing drills. Each ended with a communal bow. When it was Elena's turn, she approached with no notes. "I'm grateful for the floor," she said simply. "It never judges how many times I touch it. It only offers another chance to rise." Applause mingled with sniffles. Musicians strummed guitars, toddlers chased balloons, seniors line danced. Elena sat beside Lydia's grandmother. Sharing chamomile, she looked around. Community remade again and again like waves smoothing stone. Winter solstice arrived. Snow dusted Portland, rare and hushful. Elena closed the dojo early. Lights off except tree twinkling in lobby. She walked barefoot to Matsy, the same square where she'd first practiced in secret over a year ago. She placed Arturo's faded black belt beside hers on the tatami. Kneeling between them, she prayed, for peace to blanket restless hearts, for unseen laborers to feel seen, for quiet courage to outlive her. A soft knock echoed. Karen entered holding a small wrapped package. "Season's blessings," she whispered, handing it over. Inside a key engraved with kanji for Kokoro, Karen explained, "It's a master key to every new empowerment mat location. Even when he refuses travel, you're always welcome." Elena's eyes misted. She bowed. Karen bowed. Two silhouettes in twinkle lit, "Hush, reverent." New Year's Day, Elena stood riverside with a crowd of program graduates for the inaugural Polar Bear Gyukami. Semboli falls into snow-powdered grass, each representing a fear left in the past year. Participants wore scarves over gigs. Laughter steamed the cold air. Governor Barrett executed a surprisingly elegant side fall onto a crash pad and shouted, "Legislation for statewide funding passes next month." Cheers erupted. Elena stepped to the pad last. She thought of Miguel, Mercedes, Arturo, the countless janitors turning keys before sunrise, all the bruises that became badges. She whispered, "Thank you," and let herself fall backwards into the powdery chill. Arms wide, time slowed, gravity a familiar friend. She slapped the mat, felt cold seep through fabric, felt sky watching tenderly, rolling to stand. She faced the crowd, cheeks flushed, braid frosted, applause thundered. In that moment she understood quiet courage was not a single act. It was cumulative, layers of small brave choices settling into bedrock no storm could erode. Lasting change lived there in invisible strata, supporting towers the world saw. She bowed to the crowd, to the river, to the new year. Snow fell harder, each flake a silent promise that even the lightest touch can blanket cities in wonder. Elena turned toward the future, footsteps crunching on white grass, leaving behind prints soon covered, yet path remembered by every soul who'd learned to land, breathe and rise. End of chapter 8. Quiet courage, lasting change.